Imagine a world teeming with life, long before the dinosaurs ever walked the Earth. Picture a planet alive with strange and wonderful creatures, both in the seas and on land, thriving in a world that seems almost alien to us today. In the oceans, trilobites scuttled across ancient reefs, sharing the waters with armored fish, primitive sharks, and bizarre sea creatures that have long since vanished. While on land, mammal-like reptiles and giant amphibians roamed lush forests, hunting, grazing, and competing for survival in a world bursting with diversity. This was the Permian period, a vibrant, thriving world filled with complex ecosystems and an astonishing variety of life forms, each playing its part in the grand tapestry of existence. But all of it was on the verge of annihilation, threatened by forces far beyond the control of any living thing. About 252 million years ago, Earth faced its most severe crisis, the Permian-Triassic extinction, also known as the Great Dying. This was not just another extinction event, it was the most catastrophic in our planet's history. It was the closest life has ever come to being completely erased, a moment when the future of all living things hung by a thread. A silent, creeping death spread across the globe, choking skies, poisoning seas, and scorching land. The air grew toxic, the oceans turned acidic, and wildfires raged across continents, leaving devastation in their wake. Up to 96% of all marine species vanished forever, wiping out entire lineages that had survived for hundreds of millions of years. On land, around 70% of vertebrate species were wiped out, leaving behind empty forests and silent plains where life once flourished. Entire forests died, leaving behind a barren, fungal-dominated wasteland. With plants gone, fungi thrived on the decaying remains, turning the land into a graveyard of lost worlds. This wasn't just a bad day for life, it was a near-total system failure, a collapse of the interconnected networks that supported every living thing. The intricate web of life, woven over eons, unraveled in a geological blink. Predator and prey, plant and animal, all were swept away in the chaos. The Great Dying stands as a stark reminder of our planet's capacity for dramatic, violent change. Massive volcanic eruptions, shifting continents, and perhaps even asteroid impacts combine to create a perfect storm of destruction. It marks one of the most important turning points in the history of life, a deep, dark chasm in the fossil record, where vibrant life suddenly gives way to emptiness. To understand the Great Dying is to understand the fragility of life and the powerful geological forces that shape our world. It's a story of survival, loss, and the resilience of life in the face of unimaginable odds. It's a journey back in time, to a moment when the lights almost went out on our planet for good, a moment that could have ended the story of life entirely. Yet from this darkness, life found a way to recover. A moment that set the stage for everything that came after, including us, and the incredible diversity of life we see today. When catastrophe strikes, our instinct is to search for answers, to find out what or who was responsible for the devastation. We look for a culprit, piecing together the evidence like detectives at a crime scene, determined to solve the mystery. For years, the cause of the Great Dying remained one of Earth's greatest unsolved mysteries, shrouded in uncertainty and speculation. Scientists scoured the planet for signs of an asteroid impact, much like the one that wiped out the dinosaurs millions of years later. But there was no crater, no telltale layer of iridium, no clear evidence of a cosmic assassin from outer space. With the space rock theory fading, the focus shifted inward, deep beneath the Earth's surface, to forces hidden from view. Clues began to point toward massive volcanic eruptions, enormous releases of methane, and a cascade of environmental disasters. The evidence suggested not a single sudden blow, but a slow, relentless death that crept across the planet, changing everything. Earth's climate system spiraled out of control, unleashing chaos, violent storms, shifting coastlines, and unbearable heat. Ultimately, the evidence converged on one primary suspect, a geological event so powerful, so overwhelming, it could trigger a global collapse unlike anything seen before. Not a rock from space, but a flood of molten rock erupting from deep within the Earth, reshaping the world. The trail of clues led to Siberia, where a vast expanse of ancient volcanic rock told a story of destruction on a planetary scale. This became the leading theory, a geological monster with the means, motive, and opportunity to cause mass extinction. The case was building against the Siberian traps, the prime suspect in Earth's greatest murder mystery. The Siberian Traps, an ancient volcanic province in Siberia, are the prime suspect. For nearly 1 million years, colossal fissures gushed magma, covering an area larger than Western Europe. The eruptions released staggering amounts of carbon dioxide, far more than anything humans have produced. This wasn't just an eruption, it fundamentally altered the planet's atmosphere. The Siberian Traps became a factory for climate change. But CO2 wasn't the only poison. Sulfur dioxide led to acid rain, poisoning soils and waters worldwide. The eruptions likely burned through underground coal, releasing even more greenhouse gases and toxins. The timing of these eruptions matches the extinction event in the fossil record. Geologists have dated the Siberian Traps to exactly the right moment. This is our smoking gun, a geological event powerful enough to change the planet's climate and chemistry. The Siberian Traps were a planetary weapon, and they had just been fired. The world's climate system was about to break. The Siberian Traps unleashed a runaway greenhouse effect. Global temperatures soared by as much as 10 degrees Celsius. This wasn't gradual, it was a rapid, violent spike. Ecosystems that had been stable for millions of years were thrown into chaos. Forests withered and died, leaving behind dust and decay. The fossil record shows a coal gap. So few plants survived that no new coal formed for millions of years. The heat was relentless, day and night, especially in the tropics. Many land animals simply baked to death. Only burrowers survived. The oceans suffered too. Warmer water held less oxygen, creating vast dead zones. As the oceans warmed, they began to suffocate. This process, called anoxia, created deadly feedback loops. The planet was in the grip of a fever, and its life-giving oceans were losing their breath. The oceans faced a two-pronged attack: heat and acid. As the atmosphere filled with carbon dioxide, the oceans absorbed it, forming carbonic acid. The water became more acidic, devastating creatures that relied on calcium carbonate for their shells. Corals, clams, and plankton struggled to survive as their shells thinned and dissolved. The great reef systems of the Permian collapsed and vanished. The seafloor became a graveyard. The collapse at the base of the food web starved larger animals. Heat, lack of oxygen, and acidification created a hellish environment. Vast stretches of ocean became warm, stagnant, and toxic. Some scientists believe poisonous hydrogen sulfide even escaped into the atmosphere. The oceans, once the cradle of life, became a suffocating, corrosive trap. 96% of marine species could not survive. The devastation on land was just as profound. The dominant land vertebrates, mammal-like reptiles, couldn't survive the new hostile environment. As forests died, entire ecosystems collapsed, herbivores starved, and carnivores followed. The fossil record shows a world that became eerily empty. For a time, fungi were the most common fossils, feasting on dead wood. Only the hardiest, most adaptable creatures survived. One was Lystrosaurus, a pig-sized burrower that thrived in the aftermath. Its fossils account for up to 90% of land vertebrates after the extinction. A single, hardy species inherited a ghost planet. The world was barren, hazy, and oppressively hot. Complex ecosystems were gone, replaced by a broken world. Life had to start over from scratch. Among the victims, trilobites stand out as a symbol of loss. For over 270 million years, these marine arthropods thrived in Earth's oceans. They survived multiple mass extinctions, adapting into thousands of species. But the Great Dying was too much. Anoxia and acidification wiped out their last refuges. The end of the Permian marks the abrupt final disappearance of trilobites. An entire class of animals vanished forever. Their extinction is a testament to the severity of the crisis. If even trilobites couldn't survive, the catastrophe was truly global. In the rock layers, there's a clear line: below trilobites, above, none. Their story is a reminder that even the most successful groups are not immune to extinction. The Great Dying closed one of the longest chapters in animal history. The oceans would never see their like again. After the volcanoes fell silent, Earth was a shadow of its former self. Recovery from the Great Dying was agonizingly slow. Unlike other mass extinctions, this one left damage so deep it took millions of years to heal. The early Triassic was a stricken world, hot, harsh, and unstable. Oceans remained stagnant and oxygen-poor for millions of years. Reef ecosystems took 10 million years to recover, built by new types of corals. On land, low-diversity, survivor-dominated ecosystems persisted, forests were slow to return, and the carbon cycle was broken. Life rebuilt itself piece by piece on the ruins of the old world. The extinction wasn't just a die-off, it was a complete system reset. Life had to wait for the planet to heal before it could flourish again. The slate had been wiped clean, creating a vacuum for new life to evolve. Every catastrophe, no matter how devastating, creates new opportunities for those who manage to survive. In the aftermath of destruction, life always finds a way to begin again. The Great Dying, the most severe extinction event in Earth's history, wiped the slate clean and forced evolution down a new path. The old rulers of the world vanished, leaving behind empty ecological niches and a world waiting to be claimed. The survivors, few and scattered, found themselves in a world with little competition, a rare chance to adapt and flourish. Out of the ashes, a remarkable new group of reptiles emerged, the archosaurs, destined to shape the next era. Archosaurs would give rise to the ancestors of crocodiles as well as the soaring pterosaurs and the first true dinosaurs. In the recovering Triassic world, these archosaurs thrived, diversified, and began to dominate the land, air, and water. The Great Dying, though catastrophic, paved the way for the spectacular age of dinosaurs that would follow. Meanwhile, our own distant ancestors, the synapsids, were pushed into the shadows by these new rulers. Forced to adapt, they became small, nocturnal, and burrowing, eventually evolving into the very first true mammals. The Great Dying was more than just an ending. It was a violent creation story, reshaping the world in fire and ash. It closed the book on the ancient Paleozoic era, and opened the vast, mysterious Mesozoic, the age of reptiles. Mass extinctions, though tragic, are engines of evolutionary change, driving life to adapt in unexpected ways. Without the Permian-Triassic extinction, there would have been no age of dinosaurs, and no mammals, including us. The greatest catastrophe in Earth's history was, in the end, a necessary step on the long and winding path that led to us, and to all the life we see today.